Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. All right, so I've gotten some emails about Prince Andrew and how he is not being investigated right now by the FBI, or they have no plans on interviewing him at this moment. And I can see how that's disturbing to some people, but I think that we're in the initial stages of this investigation, and we have to remember right now they're focused on facilitators. So once they get all of those facilitators locked in and they figure out who's what, who did what, who is involved in Epstein's, crimes and to what degree, then they'll move on to the next phase. So we're going to read an article this morning from The Sun, and it's about that exact thing, about Prince Andrew not being subject to the FBI investigation at this moment. So I don't want people to think that that's going to be the case forever, right? Look how long it took for Ghislaine Maxwell to be investigated by the FBI. We've been talking about her for years now, and it's taken this long for her to get investigated. And she's not a royal, whereas Prince Andrew, on the other hand, as we all know, is part of the royal family. And while you and I think that it's ridiculous, well, it still offers him and affords him some protections. So I think that once these facilitators are all brought in, have you taken a look at some of these ladies, like Leslie Groff or Sarah Kellen Vickers or Adriana Ross? Do you really think they're going to be able to hold up under extreme interrogation, or do you think they're going to roll? If the FBI can force mafioso to roll and drug kingpins to roll, do you really think these ladies have any chance once they're brought in and they're put to the question? I don't think they have any shot in the world of not rolling over on the people that were involved with them in this situation. Because we all know everyone's trying to, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to stay out of jail at this point. And the best way to do that is to cooperate. So I have a funny feeling that the FBI is going to flip at least one or two of these ladies. And once that occurs, once the flipping begins, then the ratting begins. And once the ratting begins, well, the arrests follow. So let's just see where this all goes. Let's not get too excited and think that the FBI is never going to talk to Andrew. We don't know that yet. The investigation has just started. So let's see where it all ends up. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. All right, the article is from The Sun, and the headline, Net Closes In, FBI has no plans to quiz Prince Andrew as it probes Epstein's Madam Ghislaine Maxwell and others linked to the pedophile. Two law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation have told Reuters the principal focus of the probe is Maxwell, a longtime associate of Epstein, and other people who facilitated allegedly illegal behavior. And the source hasn't come out and named names, but we all know who he's talking about. We know that he's talking about Epstein's inner circle. We're talking about his cult-like following of women, the 4 women that were always around him, facilitating his every single need, even participating in some regards. Maxwell has not been accused of criminal wrongdoing. Her lawyers did not respond to a request for comment. Oh, I'm accusing her of criminal wrongdoing. Everybody who's familiar with the case is accusing her of criminal wrongdoing. So what does that even mean? You mean the FBI hasn't accused her yet? Well, yeah, of course. They're doing their investigation. But in the court of public opinion, she's already been found guilty, folks. She's done. Ghislaine Maxwell is finished. She's in big trouble. No one, You think there's a reason that she's hiding? Well, that's it. She's scared to face the music. She understands that her goose is cooked at this point. The FBI also is following up on many leads received from women who contacted a hotline the agency set up at its New York field office in the wake of Epstein's arrest in July, the sources said. And we know that number is active. We know that women are coming forward every single day saying that they were abused by Jeffrey Epstein, saying they were abused by his inner circle, saying that Sarah Kellen Vickers and Adriana Ross and Leslie Groff and, the rest of them were all involved in not only the facilitation of Jeffrey Epstein's sick, dark desires, but also the grooming of these poor young girls. One of the sources said the probe remains at an early stage. I can confirm that. My sources said the same thing. It's in the very early stages, but it's being conducted aggressively. The sources declined to give further details or identify the people they are looking at apart from Maxwell. My source was a little bit more gracious, folks. But they said the FBI has no current plans to interview Britain's Prince Andrew, a friend of Epstein's, who stepped down from his public duties in November because of what he called his ill-judged association with the well-connected money manager, pedophile. And my source has said the same thing. Right now, there's no plans to interview Prince Andrew in this part of the investigation. But like I said, as things move forward, who really knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen as far as Prince Andrew goes? We all know that he is, Prince Andrew has been accused by Virginia Roberts, right? And we all know that he's been disgraced and forced to step back from public life. Now, the next obvious step is for him to be subpoenaed. And I believe we will see that at some point. I just don't think it'll happen right now. The Duke has strongly denied any wrongdoing. A spokeswoman for the FBI declined to comment. Matter for the FBI. A representative for the royal family said that whether the agency interviewed Andrew was a matter for the FBI. Yeah, good. That's the proper approach because it has nothing to do with you. The royal family, he doesn't have diplomatic immunity, folks. So if he was to be subpoenaed and a judge signed off on it in England as well, he could even be extradited to America. So it's not like he's out of, any kind of trouble. It's just he's not the focus right now. Epstein's suicide, allegedly, in August at age 66, came a little over a month after he was arrested and charged with trafficking dozens of underage girls as young as 14 from at least 2002 to 2005. Prosecutors said he recruited girls to give him massages, which became sexual in nature. Yeah, and he didn't do the recruiting, folks, all right? He did the molesting. The recruiting was done by the girls, the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse that we talk about all the time. Those were the sick ones who brought the girls into him. Following Epstein's arrest, the FBI urged anyone who had been victimized by Epstein or had additional information to call the agency's hotline. U.S. Attorney General William Barr vowed to carry on the case against anyone who was complicit with the financier, pedophile. And you know what? Okay, good for you, William Barr. Like I've said, I'm on record. I'm not really the biggest fan of Barr. I don't really trust him to really get to the bottom of this. He's been involved with the bureaucracy for so long. It's hard for me to believe that he's going to crush it from within. But if he does, hey, great. But call me skeptical still. The sources said they had received numerous tips from the hotline, which they are looking into. Virginia Roberts, one of Epstein's alleged victims, has said in a civil lawsuit that Maxwell recruited her into Epstein's circle, where she claims Epstein forced her to have sex with him and friends, including Andrew. Maxwell has called Roberts' allegations lies. Roberts, in response, filed a defamation suit against Maxwell in 2015. The Sun has offered a £10,000 reward for information on her whereabouts. After she disappeared amid accusations, she acted like a madam for the shame tycoon. Well, there you have it, folks. As of now, Prince Andrew is not in the scope of the FBI investigation. Right now, the focus is on the facilitators. The focus is on Ghislaine Maxwell. The focus is on Leslie Groff. The focus is on Nadia Marcinkova. And the focus is on Adriana Ross. They haven't been named publicly, but I am naming them here on this podcast. From what I have learned, those are the people that are being focused on as of now. Again, that's not the whole investigation, folks. That's the beginning phases. The investigation moves from phase to phase to phase. Once they wrap up one phase, they move into the next, and they use the information they get in these earlier phases to initiate new investigations. And that's exactly what the FBI is doing here. This is exactly their MO. This is how they go after mafioso. This is how they go after the cartels. They go after your inner circle. They make you flip on each other, and from there, well, the sentencing begins, and this is how criminal enterprises are destroyed. This is why it's so important for agencies to have undercover agents in these sort of criminal enterprises. Now, obviously, there's no undercover agent in this enterprise, this trafficking ring, but these girls are not strong enough to stand before the question. I mean, if you have one of these girls, look at Adriana Ross breaking down in tears when confronted by a reporter. Imagine her sitting across from a hard-charging prosecutor when she knows she's not protected under that immunity deal that she signed in Florida. Do you think that she'll still be, I plead the fifth? Or do you think that she'll be just gushing with information, giving them everything they want to know, like Tekashi 69 or whatever that guy's name is. Complete straight up ratting on everybody who is involved, because that's exactly what she's going to do, or any of these girls that get pressed, besides maybe Maxwell. I think Maxwell maybe will stand firm because she realizes what's at stake. But these other girls, they feel like they could cut a deal and get off with maybe a slap on the wrist again. You got to believe that they're going to be all over it. So if I was the FBI, if I was investigating this case, I'd be focusing on them. I'd be looking to bring them in, and I'd be looking to break them before the question. And that would just be the end of it, and I would do it mercilessly. You see the way that some of these FBI agents interview people? Look at the way they made Michael Flynn trip up, so he lied to them. You think they can't go in and tell one of these girls that, give them the whole scoop, the runaround, and have them eating out of their hand? They could. The question is, why haven't they? Well, now that the FBI is investigating and an investigation has been initiated, let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. Because remember, words are wind. It's all about action. So while it's a good thing that the FBI has initiated this investigation and that they're looking into all of these people, I'm going to reserve my judgment. I'm not going to get too pumped up, obviously. Don't get me wrong. It's promising. It's a promising development, and it's a good thing that they're looking into her. But until we start seeing some movement and we start seeing some arrests, I'm going to be cautiously watching the situation, because I want to make sure that it's not just, the FBI is not just saying, oh, we're investigating, and then they're really not going to go hard. According to my source, that is not the case, but I remain skeptical with the FBI at this point. So let's make sure the fight is certainly not over, folks. We have to keep on going, foot pedal to the metal. We have to make sure that this story stays out there in the public view. We have to make sure that people who aren't aware about what has occurred, we have to make sure that we let them know, and we have to just keep it up. We have to keep the pressure on, because if not, these people are going to get away with their sick, disgusting actions, and these girls are never going to have any justice. And I refuse to let that occur. All right, everybody. I hope everybody had a great Friday evening. Hope everybody's set up for a great Saturday. I have the Penn State football game on at 9 a.m. And after the football game, I'll come back with a little bit of some more research, and we'll have an evolution episode, and we'll have our daily drop, and, the song goes on, the beat goes on. I will be back later on with an evolution episode. I hope everybody has an amazing morning. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. And if you would like to help support the show, you can click on the GoFundMe link in the description box and do what you got to do there. All right, folks, I'll catch you later.